Welcome. My name is Jerry Williams, and I am the founder and president of Myositis Support and Understanding, MSU, which is hosting this webinar today with Priovant. We're so happy to have them join us. What we're going to talk about today is the Valor Study, and the Valor Study is for dermatomyositis. Valor Study kind of tagline, rise above dermatomyositis with Valor, which I think is really, really neat, and I love that. So we want to let you know that we will be having a question and answer period at the end of the presentation. Today, joining us from Priovant is Noriko Okuni, Dr. Noriko Okuni, VP of Clinical Development and a board-certified rheumatologist and internist who brings extensive experience in clinical development, medical affairs, pharmacovigilance across therapeutic areas, including rheumatology, immunology, dermatology, gastroenterology, cardiovascular, diabetes, and men's and women's health. And prior to joining Priovant, Noriko helped lead late-stage dermatomyositis clinical trials at Alexion and JAK inhibitor development at Pfizer and Eli Lilly. And also joining us is Barbara. Barbara, I apologize as I have never pronounced your last name.
Oh, it's Zupancic.
Zupancic.
Not easy, I know.
I appreciate it. Barbara Zupancic is head of patient enrollment and engagement at Priovant Therapeutics and has 18 years of experience in clinical research, specifically focused on patient engagement and site support strategies. Most recently, Barbara was Senior Director, Global Patient Recruitment Optimization at Worldwide Clinical Trials, a global CRO. And last but definitely not least, Taryn Smith is a Patient Evaluation Manager at Priovant Therapeutics. And Taryn is an experienced clinician with almost a decade of experience caring for patients in the fields of immunology, asthma, allergy, urogynecology, and psychiatry. Before becoming a physician's assistant, she worked for the Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation and served as a Fleming Scholar. So welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for being here today. Taryn, I would like to welcome you to begin.
Hey guys, thank you so much, Jerry. That was a beautiful introduction, and we're just so delighted to be here and to share this time with all of you who took time at the end of your day to hear a little bit about the Valor Study. So without further ado, let me get our slides up and going here, and I will beg your patience. I'm relatively new to the world of this type of technology. Can everybody see the slides okay?
Yes, they look perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Jerry. No problem. Okay. Well, so, here we go. Let me move this over so you guys don't have to look at that the whole time. Okay, so as Jerry previously said, the three of us represent Priovant Therapeutics, and this is an introduction to the Valor Study, which is our lead study. And we just want to give a special shout out to the MSU community. It's been an unexplainable, amazing pleasure to get to know this group of people. Volunteer-led, putting the patients at the center of everything that they do, giving patients a voice. That is at the heart of good medicine. And so we're just really grateful for the work that you're doing. And you guys, both members and guests of MSU tonight, you could not join a better group. So thank you for having us.
Thank you, Taryn.
Yeah, I'm going to turn it over to Barbara here so she can walk us through a little bit about what Priovant is and what we do.
Sure. Thank you so much. And I echo everything that Taryn just said. We are super grateful to be part of your evening today and really appreciate your time in your busy day to come and join us. So thank you. I'll just take you just for a moment through who we are so you have a better idea of who Priovant is. And so Priovant Therapeutics is a clinical stage biotechnology company, and we're focused on delivering novel therapies for autoimmune disease. We're developing Brepocitinib, and this is a potential first-in-class dual inhibitor of TYK2 and JAK1. And Noriko and both Taryn will take you through, what that is and a little bit more detail in the coming slides. So we're looking at this across multiple severe autoimmune indications, unlocking treatment options for patients who are underserved by existing therapies. So we will now go into a little bit of introductions, although Jerry was kind enough to take you through our bios. So I don't know if I don't think we really need to go into anything more. Again, we're happy to be here.
Okay, so I can take it from here.
Yes, Marika.
Again, I'm going to, echo what Taryn and Barbara has said. We really thank you for having us here at this webinar tonight. We are very excited that we are able to share our program in dermatomyositis, and we really appreciate the partnership with MSU and the patient and scientific community. So thank you for that. I am part of the clinical development team at Priovant, and I am also a rheumatologist by training, but I, along with my colleagues, we feel very passionately about bringing new medicines to life-changing diseases like dermatomyositis. So again, we really appreciate this opportunity for us to share our program with you. So thank you for that. So this Valor study for dermatomyositis, it is a phase 3 study, and we will be studying the study drug Brepocitinib. As Barbara mentioned, this is a tyrosine kinase TYK2 Janus kinase JAK1 inhibitor, and this is an oral tablet. So unlike a lot of the other medications that are being studied right now, this will be an oral tablet that you will be taking. TYK2 and JAK1 are part of the Janus kinase family of enzymes that are involved in the pathway that causes inflammation in the body. And many of you may be aware of other JAK inhibitors that have already been approved for diseases such as rheumatoid arthritis, psoriatic arthritis, ulcerative colitis. There are many there. And these are other JAK inhibitors that inhibit other JAK family enzymes in different combinations for treatment of those diseases. But for dermatomyositis, inhibiting the TYK2 and JAK1, this may help block the part of the immune system that involves in causing the inflammation seen in this disease.
Noriko,
So yes.
Apologize to interrupt. Could you again pronounce the name of the drug for us?
Brepocitinib.
Brepocitinib. Okay.
Brepocitinib, and I know we shorten it and call it Brepo, but so that might be easier for everyone to remember.
Thank you.
So this drug actually has been studied in other autoimmune diseases in phase 2 trials, and it has shown significant and clinically meaningful results in those studies. So to date, we have 6 completed phase 2 studies with Brepocitinib. And we also are currently, Brepocitinib is currently being studied in phase 2 for lupus as well too. So this may be an important information for some of our dermatomyositis patients who are seen by rheumatologists, since lupus is also seen by rheumatologists as well too. And again, the Valor study is a phase 3 study that will investigate whether Brepocitinib improves signs and symptoms of dermatomyositis. So again, welcome to the Valor study. This study is for adults ages 18 to 74 living with dermatomyositis. And before deciding if you want to take part in this study, it is important to understand why the study is being done and what happens during the study. So I'll briefly go over those in the next few slides. So the purpose of the Valor study is to learn more about the investigational medicine Brepocitinib in adults living with dermatomyositis. We also would like to characterize the safety and tolerability profile of Brepocitinib. As I mentioned before, we have a safety and tolerability profile for Brepocitinib in other autoimmune disease, but this study will help us characterize these important information for dermatomyositis. So what happens during the study? This study lasts up to 64 weeks, so that's approximately 15 months, with about 13 visits for tests and health checks. So there's a screening period, which could be up to 8 weeks, and you'll have at least 1 visit. And during the screening period, you'll learn more about the disease, and we'll see if you're a good fit for this study. Then there's the study treatment period, which is 52 weeks, and this is approximately 11 visits. They're about 4 weeks apart, 4 to 6 weeks apart, these visits will be. And then there's a follow-up period of 4 weeks with 1 visit. And then for those patients that do complete the study treatment period, there may be an opportunity to roll over into an open label extension study. And this is where all patients would receive Brepocitinib. So what happens during the screening visit? First, we'll have to ask you for permission to join. So you'll get to read the participant information sheet, and you can ask any questions you may have to the study physician and the study site. And then you'll give your permission to join the study by signing the informed consent form. At this visit, we'll also be collecting some health information, and this will include medical and health history, medicine review, and demographic information. Also, during this study screening visit, we'll be doing tests and health checks. So this will include muscle testing and disease categorization. There'll be a few questionnaires that patients will have to fill out. There will be a physical exam. Vital signs such as blood pressure will be collected, height, weight. There will be a blood test, a urine test, and heart activity will be collected using an ECG, an electrocardiogram. And then there may be possible additional tests as listed here, imaging scans, lung function, chest x-ray, photos of skin, and a pregnancy test. So what study treatment will I receive? So participants will be randomly assigned to one of the 3 treatment groups. So you'll see here Brepocitinib 30 milligram, Brepocitinib 15 milligram, and then a placebo group. Again, this is randomly assigned. You will not know what you're assigned to. The study physician will not know, the study site will not know, and the Priovant study team will not know which assignment you will be placed in. But you'll see here that out of the 3 treatment groups, 2 of them are Brepocitinib. So you are twice as likely to receive the study drug as placebo. So again, you'll have a lesser probability of getting into the placebo group. I also want to add here that even though it does say placebo, we are allowing certain dermatomyositis treatment to be continued. So all of these study groups will have standard of care as a background medication if applicable to that patient. So placebo doesn't mean you're entirely not using any dermatomyositis treatment. So I just want to make that a point. So how will I take the study drug? You will take 3 tablets by mouth every morning, and you may take the tablets with or without food. And again, for the 3 treatment groups, the tablets will look very similar. So again, you will not know which group you will be assigned to. And then again, as I mentioned, you will continue to receive your current medication in addition to the study drug. And this is a question that we often get. Can I be treated by the study physician for symptom flares or if the symptoms get worse, if needed? And the answer is yes. So there is a portion in the protocol that does allow for extra help if your disease symptoms do get worse during the study. So what happens at the study visits? So this is in regards to the 50-week treatment period. So study visits are every 4 to 6 weeks. And here again, you'll have health checks and tests. And these are similar to what you did for the screening visit. So you'll have muscle testing, disease categorization. Again, there'll be questionnaires for you to answer, physical exam, vital signs. We'll collect your weight. There'll be a blood test, urine test, and again, using an ECG will capture your heart activity. We will also collect health information. So this will be a medication review. Also at these visits, if there are any medically related things that happen between visits, this is the time when you would bring it up to your study physician or study site of things that went on between visits as well too. And then again, there are possible additional tests. So lung function test, photos of the skin, and pregnancy tests. So what are some possible benefits and risks of being in the study? So possible benefits, some of them are listed here. You may experience a reduction in your symptoms of dermatomyositis. Information learned may help others with dermatomyositis, and then you will have access to study-related medical care during the study. So what are some possible risks? You may have unwanted side effects from the study drug and or study procedures. Absolute confidentiality of your medical records and data cannot be guaranteed. Other unknown risks, because Brepocitinib is investigational. And then there are other risks that are actually listed in the informed consent document that you'll be able to read at the screening visit. So you'll have an opportunity to read through all these benefits and risks in detail before you sign the informed consent and agree to join in the study.
Enrico, could I ask a quick question? Is the that second point on possible risks, the absolute confidentiality cannot be guaranteed, is that common among all trials, or?
It is. So, there are certain privacy laws that do protect participant information in these clinical trials. So, participants will be identified by numbers, for example. There are means, and obviously we will follow all these ways to make sure that confidentiality is kept secret. But again, we don't know where a little bit of information may become available to us or outside of that. But again, this is in the confines of what a clinical trial is usually run by.
Excellent. We've never had anybody actually include that in the presentation, so I just wanted to clarify it's not specific to this trial, but it is good information to have, so thank you.
So will this study cost me anything to be in the study? And so the answer is it will not cost you anything to participate in the study. You may also be able to get it reimbursed for your travel costs to and from the study site. And again, if you have any questions or if you need more information, please feel free to speak to a member of the study team.
Can I jump in here really quick and just say we want to do everything that we can to make sure that you are not paying for the cost of the study. But Noriko, correct me if I'm wrong. If, heaven forbid, if you were to have a adverse event or a side effect related to the trial that required that you seek medical care for that adverse event, the care associated with that would be billed through your insurance first if you have it, and your copays and your deductible could apply. So I just think it's really important in the American healthcare system, where there's a lot of confusion around these things, that's put forward. So I will pick it up from here and talk to you briefly about the Valor Study website. This is kind of where my role comes into play. This website was custom designed for this study to explain and about the study and to invite people in kind of a welcoming environment. So what you're seeing here is the homepage. If you visit us at valorstudy.com, as you see at the top of the page, this is where you'll land. Capital letters don't matter in the URL, so don't worry about that. And you'll see here that there are two purple buttons. One of them says join the study and the other one says check eligibility. Both of those buttons will take you to the same place. There is more content if you scroll down that just tells you about the study and the study drug. But those two buttons are for people who are interested in joining the trial either themselves or they know someone that they love who could potentially be interested. And so if you click on one of those purple buttons, oh, yeah, there's the little arrow to make sure you see the purple button. It will take you to this short form. This form asks if you personally have dermatomyositis, what is your date of birth? And the point of asking that is just to confirm that you're within the age limits set around the trial, 18 to 74 years. Do you live in the United States? This study most likely will eventually be done across the entire world, but for now, it's only open to residents of the United States. So that's why we are asking that question. And are you completing this form for yourself or for someone else? And you just click on the correct answers there. And you'll see at the top of this form, it also tells you that we're asking for this information so that you can connect with the healthcare provider on the Valor Study team. And once you input that information, it will bring you to a calendar. And this is just an example calendar that shows all the available openings for a video chat with me. So I'm the patient evaluation manager for this trial. My privilege is to talk to people all over the country who have dermatomyositis and are interested in Brepocitinib and possibly participating in the trial. Talking to me is a no obligation situation. Okay. You can see me. I'm not a spam bot. I'm not going to come after you. I just want the chance to answer your questions and hear about your individual journey. So if you would like to schedule an appointment with me, you just click one of these buttons that works for you. You can scroll through the calendar and you'll receive a confirmation email with instructions on how to link up with me. It's very easy. If you have any problems at all, you'll have my contact information and we can troubleshoot it. If you would rather have me email you or call you first before you schedule an appointment, I am super happy to do that. You'll just click on one of these two buttons at the bottom that says email me instead or call me instead. And then here's my face. If you need to remember what I look like, if you click on my name, it will show you who I am so that you know I'm a real person. Just so you know, Priovant, our company, is committed to seeing people, seeing individuals with dermatomyositis in the process of trying to bring an option to market that could be helpful. And so in furtherance of that commitment to the community, they have hired me, a healthcare provider, who is a single point of contact. If you call up here, we're not using a call center. I'm the person who talks to everybody, and I would be happy to talk to you. So you don't have to re-explain your story or anything like that if we talk more than once. I hope that I'm friendly. I can guarantee you I'm experienced. And my job and my passion, what's more, is to make difficult systems easier to navigate. And so part of my role is not only to evaluate if you are a good candidate and if the study could be a good fit for you, but also to really smooth the path between our conversation and getting you linked up with the study site, if that's what you decide you want to do.
And I think the single point of contact and who you will be contacting, don't ever worry about your friendliness, Taryn. I tell you, every conversation that I've ever had with you, I can hear a smile in your voice. And luckily, we all get to see it on your face. So thank you so much. And thank you to Priovant. I noticed that some of the barriers to clinical trials that people face that, you guys have covered, right? More people in the actual drug profile rather than getting the placebo, the financial assistance for travel, those types of things are so important. So thank you. And I just encourage you to call and just schedule an appointment with Taryn just to do so.
Thank you, Jerry. I thank the good Lord every day that I get the chance to work with Priovant and I get to talk with people in this capacity. I mean, it is such a joy. So what do you have to lose? Come talk to me. I'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to kick it over to Barbara so she can tell us a little bit more about the things that Priovant has brought forward to try to make it easier on participants who are interested.
Thank you so much, Taryn. And you saw when Taryn was showing you the website that, it's kind of the look and feel of it. We put a lot of thought and effort into making this, relatable and pretty. So here are some of the materials. There are others, but really these are to help you better understand the study. And if you do decide to join the study, to make it easier for you to, understand what you're getting into and what to expect. And so I'll just briefly talk about these. Here you see a patient letter, and that's really an initial letter to assess your study interest. And it gives you a study overview, eligibility criteria, and contact information. And that would kind of be the initial, one of the initial points of contact. We've also got 2 informed consent flip chart and a video. I have been in a clinical research study, and I know how daunting it can be when you get, the informed consent kind of thrown at you, read through it, sign. So we've done everything possible to make it as understandable in layperson's language so everybody can have a full understanding of what they're getting into. And so we've got the flip chart, which is really an overview of the study, study objectives and trial design, any risks and side effects, and next steps for you if you do choose to enroll. And we also have a beautiful consent video, which is easy to understand and really to help you, understand what to expect during the study and study objectives. You might also see a recruitment poster. These will be in doctors' waiting areas or offices. And really, it's just an illustrative poster with study objectives and rationale, eligibility criteria, and contact information. And there is a QR code on there. So it's very easy just to scan the code and it will take you right to where you need to go, which is the website. And then also once you are enrolled, we have a study schedule, and it's really nice. Patients like that. So it's a welcome guide. It's a visit by visit schedule, so you know what to expect at the next visit, how long you should allocate in your day to be at the site, any study terms and procedures, glossary of terms, and again, contact information. And we also have thank you cards. And as Taryn mentioned earlier, we do support travel. We understand that patients sometimes do have to come from far away to be in a clinical research study. So we will fully support that as well. So that's what I have here. And I think that's our last slide.
This is our study website again, and the email address that it collects all patient questions or inquiries. It's monitored by myself. It's patient support at priovanttx.com. But if you aren't able to jot this down tonight, you can also find ways to contact us on the website, valorstudy.com. And I do see that we have some Q&As. I'm itching to get to those. But before we do that, Jerry, is there anything else we can do?
Yeah, excellent presentation, and thank you. And thank you for taking the time to put those informed consent resources together, because I know those informed consent documents are so long and so complex sometimes. So I want to, just shout out to, thank you, because that will make things a lot easier. And I want to let everybody know that I have posted the website, the link to the Valor Study in the chat. So you can access that directly there. And then let's take a look at the questions. Taryn, what do we got?
Let's see. And you tell me, Jerry, I'm actually going to defer to your expertise here.
So Mary says she'll be 74 in February. Am I too old to join?
Well, first of all, congratulations, Mary, for having the best birth month on the planet. I'm a February girl too. If you are turning 74 in February, you are still eligible to enroll. You have to randomize to one of the 3 treatment groups. So one of the Brepo doses or the placebo group before your 75th birthday. So based on the timeline that you've given there, most likely if you wanted to join, you could, as long as you were put in a group before you turned 75.
Manuel, did you want to take a question?
Yeah, I think the next question that we have is that if there are any absolute disqualifiers for the Valor Study. That's a question from Linda. Absolute disqualifiers.
As Taryn just mentioned, there's the age absolute requirement, but the biggest one is you do need to have dermatomyositis. And for this study, we do require some muscle symptoms and also skin symptoms as well too. I do know that there are other dermatomyositis studies that only require one or the other, but for this one, we require both.
And I have a question kind of related to this one. Is it really about, like, some of the patients sometimes are concerned when they join the clinical studies because of the flares that are normal in dermatomyositis. So one concern about this is kind of the dose. Some of them have certain dose of corticosteroids. And I don't know if I want to go a little bit into detail of how you guys look into that when you're looking at a patient with a specific dose, 8 milligrams, 2 milligrams of corticosteroids. What evaluation you guys do in related to flares, for example? So
our protocol currently, we do require a stable dose of 20 milligrams or under of corticosteroids coming in. As I mentioned in the presentation, though, if the patient does have a flare, there are opportunities within the protocol for the patient to be rescued with additional medications. So this could be an increase in steroids or with other additional immunosuppressants that could be added.
Perfect. I think that clarifies because it's something that's always in the mind of the patients when they are moving from one treatment to another.
Yeah, great question, Manuel, and thank you, Noriko, for the answer. Our next question is from Cam Beats, and Cam Beats is going to ask his question live.
Hi, I had the pleasure, I'm a volunteer with MSU and I'm 22, and I also had the pleasure of meeting with Mrs. Taryn for an interview. And my question was for the doctor for Brepocitinib. When are I know that a lot of these JAK inhibitors are notorious for being kind of dangerous for pulmonary embolisms. And in April, I had a really small PE a few weeks after I had my port placed. And when do you foresee, if someone is taking anticoagulation therapy like rivaroxaban or Coumadin, that they can maybe in the future enroll in the study and try out a JAK inhibitor, or do you think that it'll remain a no-go?
Okay, well, thank you for that question. That's a very thoughtful question. As you know, this audience probably knows JAK inhibitors do currently have a black box warning for thrombosis, pulmonary embolism, and this is because a study that was done in one of the JAK inhibitors did seem to show a little bit of a higher signal in those patients treated with that JAK inhibitor. And then, so there's a whole class effect that FDA and other regulatory agencies have placed on all JAK inhibitors, even if another specific one may not be showing those signals. Because the FDA is worried about this signal, we do currently have a pretty stringent exclusion criteria for those patients that have had more recent events of that sort. For the time being, it may not change, but again, we will have to look at further data that comes out. Again, as I mentioned, we do have other Brepocitinib studies that may have a less stringent criteria, and we may align it with that as well too. But unfortunately, at the moment, the exclusion criteria for that kind of event more recently is stringent for this protocol. But again, with more of these JAK inhibitors coming out in the market, more being studied, the more we know about a lot of the safety issues, perhaps it may open up to, more patients, and it may become easier to use for those patients as well too.
And if I could just ask a really quick follow-up, thank you, doctor. What makes the Brepocitinib, this JAK inhibitor, different from like Xeljanz or Rinvoq and its mechanism of action, like the migraine drugs like Aimovig and Emgality? They work really similar. They're in the same CGRP class, but they're a little different. So what makes this JAK inhibitor like different and kind of special for dermatomyositis versus like the Xeljanzes and stuff?
Right. That's a great question as well too. So it seems like you are very familiar with the JAK kinase family, but as you know, for example, Xeljanz has a high selectivity for certain JAKs, and specifically the JAK 1 and 3 are what, for example, Xeljanz is selective for. For Rinvoq, it's JAK 1 has the highest selectivity for for Rinvoq is JAK1. For, again, this drug, it's JAK1 and TYK2. So again, the selectivity is a little bit different amongst these JAK, and we do know that some of the efficacy and the safety profiles do differ depending on which JAK it targets. So this is where we feel our drug actually works for dermatomyositis, is because the JAK1 and the TYK2, those are mainly part of the inflammation pathway that leads to the disease mechanism for dermatomyositis. So, we feel that this JAK1 TYK2 is very selective for dermatomyositis.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thanks, Cam. Appreciate you asking such wonderful questions, and thank you, Doctor, for answering. We have another question. If Melissa's asking if she's taking more than 20 milligrams of prednisone, are you ineligible at the start? She's currently on 30 and uncontrolled at this time.
So if your treating physician feels that your disease is not controlled with 30 milligrams, certainly that could be a possible eligibility for the study, but the dose of the steroids will have to be tapered down to 20 milligrams. So there are certain tapering schedule that is outlined in the protocol. But again, 30 milligrams is, quite a high dose for steroids. And if it's not controlled well, maybe you may be a good candidate to be in a clinical trial once you go down to 20 milligrams.
Great, thank you. Well, thank you to the team at Priovant. Thank you, Enrico. Thank you, Taryn. Thank you, Barbara. Manuel, who had to join us late due to electricity issue, is our Chief Science Officer, in case I wasn't able to introduce him earlier. So thank you, Manuel, for being here. Did anybody have any final comments before we close out for the evening?
Well, I think it's wonderful that we have new drugs options for the treatment of dermatomyositis. I think for many, many years, we didn't have good treatment options. We only have the usual corticosteroids and the older drugs. So that shotgun approach now has changed completely with the appearance of all these new categories of drugs, including the JAK inhibitors. So it's certainly good to have a choice of clinical trials at this time coming up. And I think people should be very aware of all these clinical trial options and talk to Taryn and talk to people about that, because I think this is a good time to participate in a clinical trial for dermatomyositis patients. And we're very glad that's happening.
Absolutely, Manuel. Thank you.
I just want to say that the members of the dermatomyositis community, you really do inspire more people than you know. And I hope that several years from now, we're having a different conversation about you have lots of treatments to choose from. But in the meantime, thank you for all that you're doing for each other and for inspiring all of us.
Thank you. I echo. We couldn't have said it more beautifully than what Taryn just said. Really, yeah. It's inspiring to see all this.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to quickly say thank you for looking into, as a young person, but it doesn't even matter as a young person, as anyone with this disease. It means so much, even though I can't participate, but to have a pill rather than be tethered to an IV line. And doctors don't really realize that all the time, but something you can throw in your bag, and it's like a massive amount of freedom. So I just thank you for investigating that, and that is just so big for the dermato community.
And Cam, as a sidebar, I'm not going to forget you. If the protocol changes, I will be calling you.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh, that's great. All right, guys. Well, thank you again to the Priovant team. Thank you for answering such wonderful questions and for a great presentation. And I look forward to joining again. And everybody, come on, schedule your time with Taryn. You won't regret it. Thank you all so very much. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their evening. And thank you for being available in the evening.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.